Yeah, good morning, George. This demonstrates a huge step forward in China's military capability, and it's understood that US intelligence had no idea that China had moved this far ahead.
Vampire, bearing 085, low and fast. The word snaps across the Combat Information Center like a wire whip. Chairs scrape. Hands move. A petty officer slams a palm on the alarm. Red lights flood the deck. The destroyer is rolling in a choppy sea when the surface search radar paints a smear that isn't sea clutter. Someone breathes. Hypersonic.
A report of a Chinese missile test which shows progress with an advanced weapon called a hypersonic missile.
The tactical action officer doesn't answer. He's already counting down in his head. To understand why this shot is different, we need to rewind. China has fielded a stealth-shaped, sea-skimming missile designed to blind radars and cheat intercepts. The Navy trained for this exact shot and hit a trick. Out past the radar horizon, the kill chain starts without a ripple. An ocean surveillance satellite drifts over the Pacific, grabs a slab of RF energy from the escort's emissions hours earlier, and hands it to a ground node. An over-the-horizon radar near the coast builds a course track. A maritime patrol aircraft tightens it. Even China's fishing militia relays AIS anomalies and wakes that look wrong. Meanwhile, a coastal battery gets a simple order: shoot. The weapon that leaves the rail isn't just fast. Its nose is faceted like a jet inlet, its body painted in low observable coatings, and its intake buried to keep the radar cross-section down. It climbs to breathe, then relaxes into a low, dense layer. At high supersonic to hypersonic terminal speed, the air ionizes along the skin in patches. That plasma and heat can scramble returns, and at 12 feet above the waves the sea itself becomes a wall, hiding it until the last minute. On the destroyer, the bridge and CIC argue silently through doctrine. Emkin or radiate. If they go quiet, they deny the seeker a beacon. If they radiate, they might get a firing solution. The air is weird today. Ducting bends radar energy like a funhouse mirror. Sea State throws back whitecaps that look like targets. The first reliable horizon track arrives late, promoted from a faint ESM spike that said, "Something's painting us from far away." Here's the human moment. The CIC watch officer has 20 seconds to choose which trigger goes first. Miss it, and 300 sailors run out of time. He looks at the geometry, the relative wind, the chaff corridors, the interceptor basket. He picks a sequence that buys seconds before it buys kills. Action runs like muscle memory. ESM chirps. A horizon blip stabilizes and becomes a track file. Operators snap it to a weapons quality solution. The ship's brain builds lead angles while the crew fights the ship's motion and clutter. Meanwhile, the missile flips the script. It pops up, just a twitch, to fix its position off the sea surface, then dives hard and begins a terminal weave that makes old intercept logic look slow. Why is it so hard to see? The radar horizon hides it until geometry helps. Its shaping and coatings starve the radar of clean, specular returns. The heat bloom muddies the picture, then the ocean steals the rest. It also doesn't fly straight. The route is deceptive, waypoints staggered to avoid predictable arcs. Every change of aspect shifts its radar face and slashes detection confidence. Up the kill chain, the hunters keep feeding. The ODH radar pushes bearing-only updates. A patrol aircraft drops to a safer distance and listens more than it stares. Across a swath of ocean, Chinese network nodes vote on where the ship will be in 2 minutes. They don't need perfect. They need close. This is the moment the bridge feels the stakes. One bad call can sink a billion-dollar ship. Traditional defenses struggle because the engagement window shrinks to heartbeats at wavetop height. Jam the seeker too loudly, and you risk home-on jam. Throw chaff the wrong way, and you build a path right to your hull. Saturation, multiple weapons staggered in time, turns smart crews into jugglers. While that was happening on the surface, something else was being readied below deck. Quiet systems, the kind that don't light up scopes, slide into the loop. The ship leans on more than raw radar now. It blends what it can hear, what it can see without emitting, and what a partner far away is already tracking. The missile is starting its terminal dance. The destroyer is about to answer with math and misdirection. The outer ring goes first. The TO squeezes off an SM-6, then an SM-2 in tight succession, doctrine bending around the geometry they actually have. not the one the textbook promised. The fire control director fights the ship's role to hold a basket out in front of a weaving, sea-skimming smear. Mid-course updates ride the data link. The intercept window looks thin. At these speeds, being late by a second is the same as missing by a mile. While those long sticks arc out, the middle ring wakes up. CRAM's logic chews through the terminal dance and throws out a firing solution that isn't pretty but is fast. It doesn't wait for elegance. It calculates a brutal lead angle against a target that keeps changing its mind. Reaction time math is unforgiving. From detection to trigger, you're counting in single digits while the hull shudders in the chop. Then the soft kill layer blooms. A Nulka canister kicks off the fantail and jets away on its little rocket, hanging a bright, cooperative lure in the sky. To a radar seeker looking for specular returns, that false ship suddenly looks bigger and cleaner than steel can look. The chaff corridor builds around it, a shimmering alley of bad choices. But the ship isn't just shouting with radar anymore. Below deck, the quiet trick takes over. Sensor fusion pivots off raw emissions and leans on passive ears and eyes. CSM to triangulate the missile's tiny whispers. IRSD to catch the hot pinprick against the cold sea. They fuse bearings into a ghost image that's not quite where the ship is. Waveform tricks ride the decoys. Doppler cues seeded into the picture to suggest a closing target that isn't actually closing. What nobody outside the program expected at this speed is how well that pairing can hurt. An EW tech in CIC, eyes flicking between bearings and rate, drags the decoy slew 7 degrees off the bow to open a corridor that doesn't exist, unless you're a seeker filtering for the brightest, steadiest return. It's a micro move that buys a breath. Missile brain versus ship brain. The seeker's filters are tuned to chase clean reflections and stable velocities. The ship injects a rhythm that mimics hull motion in the wrong place. The missile fights back, snapping into a last-second swerve and dropping to wave-top height, so low it starts carving spray. The CRAM salvo looks late now. The Nulka's energy low begins to fade. The countdown hits single digits and sticks there. This is the break point. A nearby asset, quiet on the net until now, tips in a cooperative engagement link that widens the intercept bubble by just enough. It doesn't announce itself. It hands over a refined track that lets the SM-6 tighten its endgame without another radiate. Out ahead, a hard-to-see collision of speed and timing resolves into a flash. The first intercept doesn't vaporize the thread, it cuts. Fragments shear off nose and control surfaces. The seeker takes a pebble through part of its antenna and loses fidelity. It's still fast, still angry, but now the picture is dirtier and the ghost looks cleaner. The decoy pulls the wounded missile wide, away from the real steel, into the corridor the tech opened. CRAM finishes the conversation with a burst that arrives as a slap. A second, smaller explosion pops behind the ship's wake. Silence returns in a rush that feels loud. On deck, the aftermath is human. Someone laughs once, sharp and surprised. Someone else's hands shake while they reset panels they've touched 100 times. The TO exhales and doesn't realize he's been holding his breath. The logbook gets a neat line that won't say how it felt. It worked because doctrine met improvisation. The layers bought seconds, the seconds bought choices. There was no magic bullet, just training that knew when to hand the lead from radar to ears to heat, and back again, without wasting a heartbeat. A missile built to erase ships found its vision stolen and its time spent, beaten by layers that argued, cooperated, and adapted under pressure. If you want the backstory on the Navy's decoys, false targets, and the Cold War tricks they evolved from, watch the next film in this series. Subscribe if you want the real combat stories, told from inside the decision loop, where seconds matter and quiet systems decide outcomes.